I swiped right on you, flirted for 2 weeks, then made excuses every time you suggested meeting. Meeting you would make this real, and real feels dangerous when virtual feels safe. The distance between matching and meeting is where I live most comfortably. Close enough to feel wanted, far enough to stay in control. I'm going to show you the 5 psychological barriers that keep women in digital-only connection, and how to bridge the gap between online interest and real-world meeting. The validation trap. Matching gives me the validation I need without the vulnerability real meetings require. The first barrier to meeting is that swiping and chatting provide the emotional benefits of being desired without any of the risks that come with actual human connection. When you super liked me and we started chatting, I felt that rush of being chosen, being interesting enough to hold your attention for hours of conversation. But the moment you suggested coffee, my stomach dropped, because coffee means showing up as my actual self instead of my carefully curated digital persona. Digital interaction lets me be the best version of myself, the wittiest responses, the most flattering photos, the personality I want to have, rather than the one I actually wake up with. Meeting you means risking that the real me won't measure up to the impression I've created through strategic selfies and edited conversations. My therapist helped me understand this as validation seeking with intimacy avoidance. Using dating apps to meet emotional needs for attention and desirability without accepting the vulnerability required for genuine connection. What this looks like in practice? I'll spend hours crafting the perfect response to your messages, but panic when you ask for my phone number. I'll send you good morning texts, but suddenly become too busy when you suggest weekend plans. Understanding this pattern, when someone engages enthusiastically online but avoids meeting, they might be using digital connection as a substitute for real intimacy rather than a pathway to it. What doesn't help? Pressuring for immediate meetups or assuming she's not really interested. This often increases anxiety rather than building comfort with the idea of meeting. What helps? Building genuine connection through conversation, while gently expressing that you're looking for something real. Something like, "I'm really enjoying getting to know you. When you feel ready, I'd love to meet the person behind these great messages." My hands would shake every time you suggested meeting, because I knew I was keeping you at digital arm's length. But the safety of that distance felt more manageable than the risk of real-world disappointment. But validation seeking was just one layer of my meeting avoidance. One layer. The control mechanism. Meeting you means losing control over the pace and outcome of our interaction. The second barrier to meeting is that online interaction lets me control timing, responses, and emotional exposure in ways face-to-face meetings don't. Through text and messaging, I can take 30 minutes to craft a response that sounds spontaneous, think through my answers to personal questions, and present myself when I'm feeling confident, rather than when I'm having an off day. Meeting you removes all those protective controls. In real-time conversation, I might say something awkward, have nothing interesting to respond with, or reveal aspects of my personality that I'm not ready to share. Digital communication lets me be selectively authentic, sharing vulnerability when I choose to, rather than when natural conversation leads there. The control extends to emotional regulation. If a conversation gets too intense online, I can step away, process, and return when I'm ready. In person, I have to navigate emotional moments as they happen, without the buffer of time and space to manage my reactions. What this creates: extensive online relationships that feel intimate, but never translate to real-world connection because the controlled environment has become more comfortable than authentic, spontaneous interaction. Understanding her perspective. When someone seems deeply engaged online but resistant to meeting, they might be struggling with the loss of control that comes with real-time human interaction, rather than lacking genuine interest in you. The approach that worked, acknowledging the comfort of digital communication while expressing genuine desire for deeper connection. I love our conversations and how comfortable we've gotten with each other here. I think we'd have even better conversations over coffee. No pressure, just curious to see if this translates as well in person. My chest would tighten whenever you pushed for meeting, because I knew I was comfortable with you digitally, but terrified of losing that comfort in the unpredictability of face-to-face interaction. The control I maintained through digital distance felt safer than the authenticity required for real connection. The collection strategy. I'm collecting connections rather than building one, and meeting you would force me to choose. The third barrier to meeting is that maintaining multiple digital connections feels safer than investing deeply in one real relationship. When I'm actively talking to 5 different matches, each conversation serves a different emotional need. You make me laugh. Someone else listens to my work stress. Another person shares my interests in travel. Keeping all these connections digital means I can access different types of validation and support without the complexity of choosing one person or explaining my divided attention. Meeting you would mean potentially developing real feelings for you specifically, which would make it harder to maintain the emotional diversification that feels safer than putting all my relationship energy into one person who might disappoint me. This pattern often develops from fear of rejection or abandonment. If I keep multiple options available and none of them fully real, I can't be completely rejected by any one person. Meeting creates the possibility of genuine connection, but also genuine loss if that connection doesn't work out. What this looks like? Enthusiastic conversations with multiple people that never progress to meetings. Treating dating apps like social media for validation and entertainment rather than tools for finding actual relationships. If you're watching this because someone seems interested online but won't take the next step, subscribe now. What I reveal next shows how digital connection can become a substitute for, rather than pathway to, real intimacy. Understanding the pattern. When someone maintains extensive digital relationships without meeting, they might be using multiple connections as emotional insurance, rather than genuinely looking for a singular relationship. What doesn't work? Trying to compete with her other matches or demanding to know where you stand before she's ready to choose. This often triggers more avoidance rather than clarity about preferences. What helps? Being clear about your own intentions while not pressuring immediate reciprocation. I'm looking for something real with someone special, and I think you might be that person. I understand if you need time to figure out what you want, but I wanted you to know where I'm coming from. My throat would close up when you asked direct questions about meeting, because I knew I was treating you like one option among many, when you deserved someone ready to explore what we could become together. The safety of multiple connections was preventing me from experiencing the depth possible with one genuine connection. The experience filter. Past dating experiences have taught me that men often lose interest once the chase becomes a relationship. The fourth barrier to meeting is that previous experience has taught me that many men are more interested in the pursuit than the actual person. And meeting accelerates the timeline toward either commitment or disappearance. Online, I can maintain your interest indefinitely by being engaging but elusive, interesting but not fully available. Meeting you moves us into relationship territory, where you'll either want to see me regularly or lose interest once the mystery is solved. My dating history had shown me that many men were excited by the challenge of winning me over, but bored once they felt secure in my interest. Keeping things digital allows me to gauge your genuine interest level without risking the disappointment of discovering that you are more attracted to the chase than to me. This creates a protective pattern where I maintain digital connection long enough to assess whether you're someone who wants ongoing relationship or someone who just enjoys the validation of female attention until the next interesting match comes along. The behavior this creates? Extensive vetting through digital conversation, testing your consistency and genuine interest before risking real-world vulnerability, where your true intentions would become clear more quickly. Understanding her caution. When someone seems interested but won't meet, they might be trying to distinguish between your genuine interest in them versus your interest in the excitement of pursuing someone new. What doesn't help? Pressuring for quick meetings or getting frustrated with her caution. This often confirms fears that you're more interested in moving things along than in taking time to build genuine connection. What helps? Demonstrating consistent interest over time while being honest about your intentions. I understand being cautious. There are a lot of people out there who aren't serious about getting to know someone real. I'm not in a rush. I just genuinely enjoy talking with you and would love to continue that over coffee when you're comfortable. The approach that built trust, showing that your interest in her was consistent regardless of whether she was immediately available for meeting, proving that you valued connection with her specifically, rather than just forward momentum with any attractive match. My jaw would clench when you suggested meeting, because I was torn between wanting to trust your interest and needing more evidence that your attention wouldn't disappear once the digital novelty wore off. But even with evidence of genuine interest, the final barrier often remained. A reality barrier. Meeting means accepting that I actually want something real, which feels more terrifying than staying digitally detached. The fifth and most revealing barrier to meeting is that taking that step means acknowledging to myself that I want a genuine relationship, which feels more vulnerable than maintaining the illusion that I'm just casually exploring options. As long as our connection stays digital, I can tell myself I'm just having fun, exploring possibilities, keeping things light and non-committal. Meeting you means admitting that I care enough about this connection to risk real disappointment if it doesn't work out in person. The transition from digital to real-world interaction represents crossing the line from casual interest to genuine investment. And genuine investment means genuine vulnerability to loss, rejection, or the discovery that our connection was better in theory than practice. What I realized through therapy was that I was often more afraid of wanting something real and having it not work out than I was of never pursuing anything real at all. Digital connections felt safer because they couldn't fully succeed or fully fail. They just existed in comfortable limbo. This pattern becomes self-perpetuating because avoiding real meetings means never having to confront whether I'm truly ready for relationship or just enjoying the attention and validation that digital connection provides without the responsibility. The internal conflict this creates, genuinely enjoying digital connection with you while being terrified of the vulnerability required to find out if that connection could become something lasting and meaningful. Understanding the deeper fear. When someone won't meet despite strong digital connection, the issue might not be lack of interest in you specifically, but fear of their own capacity for genuine relationship. What helped me move past this? Someone who could acknowledge the scariness of moving from digital to real, while also being clear about their own readiness for authentic connection. I know meeting can feel like a big step. It means this could become something real, which is both exciting and scary. I'm ready for that possibility when you are. My heart would race when I finally agreed to meet because I knew I was crossing from the safety of digital connection into the vulnerability of potentially caring about someone enough that losing them would actually hurt. The scariest part wasn't that you might not like me. It was that I might really like you, and then have to deal with all the uncertainty that comes with genuine feelings for another human being. These 5 barriers reveal why digital connection can become a substitute for real intimacy. Every time I matched with you but avoided meeting, I was choosing the safety of digital connection over the risk of real human intimacy. The matching, chatting, and flirting provided emotional satisfaction without requiring the vulnerability that comes with showing up as my actual self in real time and space. Understanding why someone avoids meeting despite digital connection helps you respond with patience rather than pressure, which often creates the safety they need to eventually take that step. Here's what I wish I could have told you during all those weeks of digital-only connection. I'm not avoiding meeting because I'm not interested. I'm avoiding meeting because I'm terrified of how interested I might actually be, and how much it would hurt if this connection didn't survive the transition from screen to reality. The transition from digital to real-world connection requires courage from both people. Courage to be authentic, vulnerable, and present without the protective barriers that technology provides. Do I regret all the potential connections I never allowed to become real because I was too afraid to meet? Yes, because I missed opportunities for genuine intimacy by staying safe in digital distance. Do I understand why meeting felt so much riskier than matching? Finally, and understanding it has helped me learn to see real-world meetings as opportunities for deeper connection, rather than threats to the safety of digital interaction. Would I encourage someone to be patient with digital hesitancy while also being clear about wanting something real? Absolutely, because rushing someone often increases their avoidance, while patience combined with clear intentions often builds the trust needed for real-world connection. If someone you're digitally connected with currently seems reluctant to meet, maybe they're not playing games or keeping you as a backup option. Maybe they're trying to build enough trust and comfort to risk the vulnerability of real human connection. Maybe the most helpful thing you can do is demonstrate that you're genuinely interested in them as a person, while also being honest about your desire for something that exists beyond screens and apps. And maybe the kindest approach is showing them that real connection doesn't have to be more dangerous than digital connection. It just has the potential to be more meaningful. But how do you balance patience with someone's digital hesitancy while still honoring your own need for real connection? How do you encourage movement toward meeting without creating pressure that increases avoidance? These questions require ongoing navigation rather than one-time solutions. Sometimes the most loving thing we can do is create safety for both digital comfort and real-world possibility. If you want to understand more about handling modern dating dynamics, watch my video, "She Ghosted You After the Perfect First Date." That video will show you exactly what happens when digital connection translates to real-world meeting, and why sometimes perfect first dates create more anxiety than continued interest.